God is a God of covenant. He backs his covenant. He's a God of covenant. He backs his covenant. God provokes covenant provokes divine visitation and intervention. Covenant provoke divine visitation and intervention, not just for you, but for you and your descendants. If there is anything God does not forget, is covenant. God does not forget the covenant he has with you from generation to generation. Same way the devil does not forget the covenant he has with you from generation to generation, or he has with your ancestors. God does not forget the covenant that he has with you. As a matter of fact, the intervention and visitation of God most times is because of the covenant he has. Exodus chapter 2 verse 24. Exodus chapter 2 verse 24. See what the Bible says. It says, and God heard their groanings, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. God heard their groaning, heard their prayer, but what he remembered was the covenant. He heard their prayer, but what makes him answer them was covenant. So God hears our prayer, but God remembers his covenant. God intervenes as a result of his covenant. God visits as a result of his covenant. No matter how you cry, if there is nothing for God to remember about you, your cry will be in vain. No matter how you cry. Look at King Hezekiah. When Isaiah came to him and said, God said, you prepare your house, you will die. He said, thank you, sir. I've heard you. But he turned to God. He said, God, I'm calling on you. This is the prayer. But I know what matters most is not prayer, it's covenant. This is the covenant I have with you. I've been serving you. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. Lord, I know I can't die. Give me time. And God will remember his covenant with him. So you don't just serve God and serve him like that. There's a covenant you must have with God, that when things are tough, that's why somebody will not tell you that, come, you're a pastor, you must hear from God first and enter a covenant with him, because a day will come where things will be tough. It is that covenant you used to go back to God. God, you said, when God remembers his covenant, he goes to work immediately. Nothing hinders God. There is this story, very wonderful story in the Bible. 2 Chronicles chapter 13 verse 1 to 22. I want to write it down. When you get home, you can read it. Very, very vital story. Very, very important story. 2 Chronicles chapter 13 verse 1 to 22. Very, very important story. The Bible talks about two persons and two nations. The Bible talks about Jeroboam, the king of Israel. And the Bible talks about Abijah, the king of Judah. Two nations. They were about to go to war. Jeroboam came to that war with 800,000 soldiers, while Abijah came to that war with 400,000 soldiers. But Abijah was more confident in that war for one reason. The Bible says he announced to Jeroboam and to the people of Israel that, see, have you people forgotten that God has entered into a covenant with David, with the covenant of salt, that David and his descendants will always be victorious in life. If Abijah had gone to that war and he is ignorant, he would have died. He didn't look at the number of men he has. He didn't look at his business. He didn't look at the ammunition, the tools they have, the weapons they have for warfare. He was looking at the covenant they have with God. That business is waiting for you to know that there is a covenant you have with God. That marriage is waiting for you to know that there is a covenant you have with God. So Abijah said, come on, Jeroboam, they're just playing. I know, have you forgotten that God has entered a covenant of victory with my father. And who is Abijah? Abijah is a great grandson of David. David gave birth to Solomon. Solomon gave birth to Rehoboam. Rehoboam gave birth to Abijah. 4 generations. 4 generations. Yet the covenant worked for him. The Bible now said that they engaged in war and God thundered it because of that covenant. God thundered it. They say they are oppressing you and you have covenant with God. You have not cried to the God of covenant. That is why things are still the way they are. Abijah shouted, and the whole of Judah, remember the covenant that you have with our father David. You said you will not allow us to be in shame. You will not allow the enemies to defeat us. You will not allow the enemies to mess with us. You will not allow us to get hungry. You will not allow me to be barren. You will not allow me to be single. You said in your word that everyone, no one will lack a mate. You said in your word that even the young lion, they beg that the righteous will not beg for bread. Hey God, the God of this covenant, where are you? Show up! God will show up. It's because many of us don't know that we have covenant with God. And the Bible said that they defeated 400,000 soldiers, defeated 800,000 soldiers. And Jeroboam ran for his life. And Abijah caught him. The Bible says that from that day that Abijah remind God of his covenant. The Bible says that Jeroboam stayed defeated till the day he died. The altars in your father's house are still celebrating because they know their covenant. Do you know your covenant? They know their covenant. Do you know your covenant? That rival in that business is making yanga shakara for you because he knows the covenant of his idol. Do you that serve the living God know your covenant? Do you know your covenant? You must be